Okay, in the barn, we're fixing to. This one's dead. No, this one's gonna die, I think. I know another one. I can't. This thing don't work. Hello. Yeah, we're fixing to get started here, folks. So if you've got a nanny or a dough kid, better get them ready. It is, according to Bo's watch, it's 11:07. Okay, let's walk class one in the ring. Start our opening comments at 11:17. So 10-minute warning for class one, nannies, and ewe lambs. Then we'll get rolling. The classes are posted on the back of the Elite Show Supply trailer. Fixing to get rolling. I think so. Test 1, 2. It's good. Fixing to get started, guys. It'll be first class for Class 1 ULAMs and doe kids. We'll get our opening remarks made here in just a second. Travis and Mackenzie, if y'all could head this way, get our judges headed this way. We'll make some opening comments and get started shortly.
Well, I tell you what, I had a little interesting time getting here, but I made it, and it was an early morning for me, but I can't tell you how excited I am to sort through the sheep today. And goats tomorrow, and work with your young people. Just two in this first class of Weather Dam Ewes, and young ladies have brought us two extremely good ones. We're going to start with the young lady's blue one. For me, it's this one's head carriage. The way she is at the top of her shoulder, and really the ease she moves around the ring with to her spine, like that about her. I think this one's got a shot extra reach off her hind leg, a bit more flex and genuine just stability as we watch her move around the ring. Extra crispy, deceiving, honestly, when you get on top of her. Really shapely, really nice place to start. Definitely 1 and 2 that has an extra shot of bulk and center body, like that about this one. This one's spread up high is extremely good as well. Young lady, for me, the challenge on this one is we need to tidy her up right there in her sternum, shorten her up in her blade, and we need to give her more flex in her spine as we move around the ring. She wants to pop that up, and really it's a it's a product of her hind leg, but a really nice one there to stand too. Why don't we give these kiddos a round of applause for a good way to start the sheep show?
Can't tell you how excited I am. I've had this date circled on my calendar for quite some time, and I've been pumped ever since Kevin called me to come down here and do it. I know that as we work throughout the weekend, it's going to be a dogfight, and there's going to be quite a bit of quality if it's anything like this first class that we have. I'm a big fan of all four of these does. They're just a little different in terms of how they hit me. I got a pair of more moderate does that are just a little wolfier in between them. I thought our class winner was two things. I thought she was just a nickel safer, and where she sat, her knee and front foot, she opens up big and grizzly in terms of her chest. As we compare her to the young ladies here in second in motion, she's taller at the point of her shoulder. She runs uphill and throws a stout head and short ear at the top side of it. This doe doesn't lie to you either. She transitions back as big and opened up, and the turn to her barrel as wide over her loin edge as what we have. In a perfect world, we could elevate her tail base just a shot, but I didn't think it interrupted her balance any. She has a stout hind leg that fires right underneath. I'm a big fan of the quality of the cape that we have here in second. If you want to talk about just the way they blend and balance from this side, this doe is exceptional. And where she ties her neck to the top of her blade, she actually draws back longer in terms of her hip and stamps down on a square stout hind leg underneath of her. I thought it was two things. She was skinnier in her arm and a little forward in terms of her knee. She hasn't quite just opened up quite as big in terms of her forerib as what our class winner did. I thought she pulled her lines together just a little bit better from the side. There is big time pieces in the doe here in third, and I'd really like to own her. She's stouter in terms of her legs than the doe that we just talked, and it starts with her mug. She's denser headed. She's bigger armed. I thought from a three-quarter view, though she has some extra bells and whistles, this doe got just a little more moderate in the shape of her body. She got just a little peaked in the upper part of her hip, and I could expand her in terms of her tail base. She just pulls him in just a nickel from behind. Kind of a different one of the bunch here in four. I thought a taller stature doe that has just a little bit more frame. She's elevated. She's tidy in terms of her chest line. I thought in motion we got just a little awkward in where we went from behind. I thought that doe was just a little skinnier in terms of her pin set and body shape. Good classroom there. If you guys don't mind, put your hands together for him on a job well done.
honestly a really good trio here on the sheep side, and I took a little more time on this one because honestly all three of these have things you can talk your way through and have some advantages. We're going to land on the young lady here on my right, I guess. This one, to me, probably most effectively combines kind of the skeletal build that we're looking for. The extra shot of convex shape rolling through her cage and right out of her sternum, like the extra center body she's got. And this one, to me, I think she's one that she stays collected in her spine. I think she's got enough reach on both ends. I think she's one that paints an excellent picture from the side and has an deceiving amount of terminal merit when we step into a 3/4 or rear view on that one. Extra good one there to start this class. The 1 and 2 is intriguing to me. I'm not gonna lie, this one I think ties her neck just a touch higher on her shoulder and possesses a notch more elite look up front, and I really like that, especially when we compare that to our class winner. My challenge on this one is I think she, coupled with that, she also is a notch longer in terms of her scapula. She's got a notch more shoulder kind of pushing out at me. And if she does, I'm okay with that. I just like a notch more on the backside of her skeleton through her pin and stifle and rump to match that radiator that she's got up front, but one that paints a good picture from the side, ties her neck really high on that shoulder, has a really flexible hind leg. The one coming in 3, terminal merit written all over this gal. Young man, this one is awfully good from a handle perspective and just the three-dimensional shapes that she's got pushing off her skeleton. The challenge is I think it works to her disadvantage. I think, young man, sometimes this one wants to curl up a little bit into a ball because she's got such big muscles. She wants to get a notch more upright up front, tie her neck a little bit lower in her shoulder. I think this one, if we could free her up in her skeleton like those two that precede her, man, she'd make it awfully difficult. But again, a really good set of U's. Why don't we show these kids our appreciation?
Goat exhibitor. We're a sundown copper from B&D trainers. And so we're super happy that those guys have hopped on board. They sponsor a lot of stuff that we do. We got stock show secrets right here. Every kid that walks in the ring today is going to receive a gift bag with some swag and some product from Stock Show Secrets as well. So want to make sure we thank our sponsors and those who help us do this. Again, trying to make this thing special for the kiddos and something neat that they can do a little bit different. Like I said a while ago, we're going to pay out over $30,000 in cash and prizes today, so tomorrow. So we appreciate everybody being here. Looks like an awesome way to get started.
We didn't take long to turn the heat up here in the Doe Show. We got a pair of them on the top end of things that I spent just a little extra time looking at. I told myself on the drive over this morning, just athletic stock is going to prevail, and that's where the young ladies class winner does so. I thought in motion, what is impressive to me about our class winning Doe, not only is she rounder and more elevated in her cage, she actually transitions back bigger in terms of her upper pin set than the Doe that we have here in second, and we get them out in motion. She carries her her tail base level and she stamps her hind leg square from behind in the way that she tracks. I know she's probably not quite as dolled up as the one that we have in second. I thought she was equally as genuine and won the contest in motion. The doe wins second. The trade-off was as she is grizzly bear stout underneath of her. My compliments to the crew in the back getting this doe ready because she is fit to the nines and ready to go. She opens up bigger in her chest and a little square at her knee than what our class winner does. As much as I like her proportions from the side, I get to the 3/4 and she kind of skinnies back out of her upper pin set. You watch her turn and take the corner and go right away from you. She'll pull her hind leg in just a shot from behind and not remain as genuine. I think that pair's razor close. Pick them how you like. The doe in third continued to grow on me from a generating standpoint. She's tight skinned. She's incredibly creasy backed and her muscle shape is very good. I thought at the ground we got just a nickel more fragile in terms of our bone column. That doe gets a little forward in her knees. She'll pull them in from behind and twist just a shot. But I thought she won compared to the spot back doe hands on. She lays a better groove down her back line than the doe that we have here coming in next. The doe win next, a little more maternal in her look, a little flightier in her shoulder and ear, and I thought her proportions were just a nickel better. I study her underneath, and she sits a little closer at her front foot. She doesn't turn quite as true as what the top pair of does do in the center part of her body. I thought if we could amp her up in terms of just her natural shape and skeleton, we'd be right in the money. Guys, that was a really good pair of them there on the top end of things. If you don't mind, put your hands together for them on a job well done.
Class 3, doe kids are missing Abby Bryan. What happened to her?
Here on the sheep side, we've got, honestly, another trio, short on numbers, but really, really high on quality. And really, as we look through this class, there's 3 of them. They've got some differences. I'll just break it down, kind of tell you what I'm seeing. I think young man in the black shirt got a ewe-lamb here that I think came to win. And I think she's one that, from a number of angles and a number of different criteria, I think this one that you can strap a lot of ESTs on. She is probably the roundest bodied in this class. She's probably the most collected when we study her in terms of her underline, and she's got some progression in terms of depth when we study her front to rear, got progression of width when we study her over the top side. I think this one is extremely, extremely good. I'll just tell you my hang-up on this one, young man. Her blade angle reads good when she's parked. I wish this one would just get up and set her front leg out in front of her shoulder a bit more instead of just choppy step up front. She just needs to have a shot more reach, but that's being critical of one that is absolutely stellar from the side and does so many things extremely well. We got the white face cross here in 2, and this one is no slouch. This one, again, is probably as wide a chest as one as we've got in this trio, and she works a massive back down her skeleton. The challenge on this one, young lady, is you got a barn burner in front of you, one that's awfully, awfully good, and it's the challenges on this one is we just got to make her proportion a little bit better. Her flank line needs to match her depth, trying to chest a notch more. We need to make this one a shot more plump in terms of her thigh and stifle to match that shape up high and tidy her up in her blade just a little bit. But when we talk about reach, if you guys watch this one walk out of the ring, that's the kind of reach we're talking about. If we could put that kind of reach on the one that wins, man, we'd have one that's awfully, awfully good. The one in 3, this one does so many things well. When we talk about just fundamentals, I think this one's got a lot of good to her. When we study just her foot size and her ruggedness at the ground, I think she's more than adequate there. Honestly, it matches her skull and her head. I think this one has got a stout jaw, a stout skull, and she's got some dimension, as that would indicate their back. I think the challenges on this one, young lady, the pieces don't quite fit together quite as aesthetically pleasing as we need them to. We need to change the shape of her underline. Basically make her shallower trying to chest than she is hook to flank. Shorten her blade up, relax her or rock her back and her scapula a notch more, and maybe steady her up in terms of her hind leg posture a bit more. But a really wide, really, really dense, dimensional one here in 3. Why don't we give these kids a round of applause for another nice group of ewes.
Y'all good on the goat side on your count there? Yeah. We're missing Grayson Franklin. Need you up here for the ULAM drive. We get started on these ULAMs. Just want to kind of announce our Ring A payout for the ULAMs. Our champion U is going to receive $500 cash. Reserve U $300, and our third overall U $150. Pick a top three, Judge. And I do believe we're missing a Grayson Franklin. Trav, you good over there?
I thought a really nice pair of them here on the top end of things are just a little different in terms of their make and mold, like we talked about in the last class. I decided to just split the duo of them in motion. I thought the kind of half cape doe that's going to start things off from this side, I thought her just balance and quality was elevated by the fact that she was built just a little more secure underneath of her compared to the doe that we have in second. She's bent back a little further in terms of her knee. She opens up bigger at the floor of her chest and transitions back as true and genuine, and the roll of her body as anything. In a perfect world, we can lengthen her hip just a shot, and she shuffles her hind leg a little bit as she goes, but I didn't know if the one in second necessarily corrected her. I thought both those were stout. I thought our class winner pulled together just a little more memorable in terms of her look. The trade-off is the doe in second, she's got a generating head and ear on her. She's actually creasier out of the backside of her blade and carries the advantage in width over her loin, and her upper rump I thought was better. We got the does out in motion. She sits a little far forward in my mind in terms of her blade, knee, and front foot. I thought she matched it as she went away from you. She'll pull in a straighter hind leg as she goes and not remain quite as comfortable as what I thought our class winner did. I thought that was a good pair of them that had just a little give and take. Arguably the most massive muscle doe of what we have out here is the cape that slots in third. This doe is incredibly progressive, and just the shape of her body, the roll of her barrel, the way that she stacks it up high. I thought there were some just aesthetic things that maybe got us beat. We're a little smaller in terms of foot. We're a little deeper in terms of our chest, blade, and knee up front. We don't elevate to the top of our shoulder quite like the top two did. I thought in a perfect world we could drop her flank, square her hind leg, and level her out of her rump. The young lady here that's going to close things out is doing a fantastic job getting her doe shown. I thought she was good-bodied. I thought she was decently sound. I thought she just got a little too modest in terms of her pieces, a little skinnier in her bone, flatter in her body. She gets higher in terms of her crotch and shallower in terms of her muscle. But I thought a really good class from there, top to bottom. If you guys don't mind, put your hands together for them on a job well done.
Over here on the ULAM side, we've got our champion ULAM drive. First place out of Class 1, Oakley Neff. First place out of Class 2, Harper Minor. And your class winner, Class 3, Javen Sparks. Second place is Grace Franklin, Briley Newcomb, and Harper Minor. Give all these kids a round of applause. Going to pay them out some cash here in a minute. Got some prizes already. Looks like an awesome way to get started. We're proud to have Sunnybrook Photo Company here with us, guys. So make sure you get online there. They've got a QR code at the backdrop. If you win something, we'd appreciate you getting a picture so that we can put that out on social media and thank those kids. So if you win a banner, please go get a picture at some point at the Sunnybrook backdrop over there. And we're proud to have that crew here with us. Check, check, check. Check, 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 check. There you go. We're on fire now.
Not just the largest U show, but I tell you what, the quality has been incredible. And I'm just going to roll through kind of this front line really quick, guys, and just give you an idea just where my head's at. Class 1, young lady with the little blue one. I'm not gonna lie, this one in terms of just arrogance in the way she moves her and collects her spine and kind of flexes and uses her hind leg, I think she is extremely, extremely unique. This one is deceiving. She looks like a skinny little blue one from the side. She's got way more oomph and punch when you get on her than you could really even imagine. The challenges on her, ringside, are you going to say, man, she's a little small-footed? Yeah, maybe she is. Maybe she is. I think in this day and age, I think that one doesn't read like a frail one to me. I think the other thing you see ringside is her scapula angle. I think when this one gets out and moves, does she have a true advantage in terms of the way she flexes her scapula, rocks it back, and grabs the ground in front of her, in front of her neck or near her mouth, and her ability to do that. And I think that's probably one of the places where she's challenged. I'm not going to say there's one that does it out here a lot better. Like we talked in that last class, that white-faced cross is probably the one that does it to the highest degree of any of the 6 out here. Class 2. We talked about this one being really opened up. This one's cage in the curve and turn that she has working out of her sternum right there in her foreflank is exceptional. This one is very, very dimensional when we study her through her chest, when we study her through her cage, and she maintains that to the backside of her skeleton too. The challenge on this one, young lady, I think when we compare her to some of these others, I think she's one that wants to drop her neck set just ever so slightly. I think she's one that gets a notch deeper when we study her trying to chest and has a shot more blade when we study her just right there from the side. But I think one that when we just go ahead and just talk about density and width and dimension, man, she's really, really good there. The last class. This one is kind of our combo. Honestly, she paints an extremely good picture from the side, kind of like the first class winner. But she's one that also has a great deal of power and chest width. She's one that's, I would call super dimensional and still very proportionate. The hang up on this gal is I just wanted her to get out and actually reach in front of herself and grab the ground, and she just kind of short steps it. But if you study her blade angle looks right. So I don't know if we just turn these things loose, if it'd be a different story. But that's my hang up on that one. Otherwise, I think that one wins easy. So that's a little bit about where my head's at. I think we've got a second row back there that's extremely, extremely high quality as well, too. To me, I'm not going to lie, I think it really comes down to our class winners. I'm going to study on these things one more time, and then I'll get you get you a top 3.
My apologies. I took just an extra second as we continue to work through the dough show. I think we have that luxury today to take our time when we need to and make sure that each exhibitor gets a look that they're after. I kind of was deciding between 2 and 3. I knew where my mind, where I was at emotionally. It never really went away from the young lady's dough that's going to start this class off. You want to talk about a beautiful head, horn, and ear set that sits atop a skinny neck and fits perfect right to the top of a short blade. She opens up as big in terms of her chest, her arm, and she's still laid back in her knee. Her front foot stays perfectly square, and she still blends back. I'd say good enough in the turn of her barrel. She, of our top 3, probably handles the weakest right in behind her blade today. It didn't bother me much considering the length of her hip, the set of her tail, and where she stamped and commanded the biggest hind leg underneath of her in the most athletic fashion. She's the wildest in terms of her underline. She's the geekiest in terms of her look. I thought she won this class fairly handedly in my mind. The trade-off is 2 and 3. They were really close, and I had a tough time splitting the difference between them. I thought the young man's here in second. She was gnarlier in terms of her feature. She was just a little skinnier in terms of her neck, and I thought in motion mainly is where she better maintained her hip and her hind leg posture underneath of her. She doesn't outhandle the one in third, but I like the fact that she is fit together just a little neater in her mid-body turn, the length of her hip, and the set of her hind leg. She can't get around our class winner. She wears her blade on her just a little chunkier. She'll sag in behind her shoulder just a shot and not want to stay in quite the same concert as what I thought our class winner did. If we're going to talk about generating potential, the stoutest headed, probably best barrel doe sits here in third. Hands on, she is unmatched in the way that she blends right out of the back of her blade. She creases the most shape and muscle over her jump. I got her going right away from me. She's skinnier in terms of her upper pin set, and of our top 3, I didn't think she was built with the same speed and gear in terms of her hind leg. Built a little straighter. She'll pull it in from behind and not want to just float and glide quite like our top 2 did. There's good production stock still here in 4, and I like this doe quite well. She can't match the bells and whistles of what we had in 1, 2, and 3, but I like good, honest stock. She's in a bad hair cycle right now, but her body shape is beautiful. Her progressional width is very good. She hit me more moderate and modest off either end of her body. She doesn't have the length and strength off either side of her skeleton as what I thought the top one did. I didn't know if she was quite as grizzly bear in her feature as what we had in 2 and 3. The young man here that's going to close this out is doing a fantastic job, showing a really good bodied, stout structure doe who got just a little too generic in terms of her look from the side. She's deeper in terms of her chest and blade. She gets a little rigid in terms of her top line. We could lengthen her out of her hip just a shot. I thought a really good class of does with a good top, really trio or 4 of them there. If you guys don't mind, put your hands together for them on a job well done.
They're getting pictures there on the ULAMs, and as soon as that gets done, we'll go ahead and get our sheep show started with the white face class, followed by white face crosses, South Downs, Dorpers, Naturals, and then medium wool. Some of these classes are small guys, so if you would, we're not going to rush through it, but if you would also kind of be ready. So we'll get started here shortly if you've got a weather lamb. Well, folks, if you got a sheep, where we at, Trav? Whiteface crosses. Joe, that'd be fine wools and fine wool crosses in your country. But whiteface crosses, South Downs, if you got one of those, I'd say ease this way. We'll start with those whiteface sheep. First call. Hello, Dree.
To be frank with you guys, I thought 2 and 3 was razor close between them. My mind never really wavered from the young ladies here that's going to start us off. I'm a big fan of the doe here up front. If you want to talk about how to build livestock and what we have been after up until this point of the doe show, she mimics all of that, but does so with some extra bells and whistles. I stand at this view right here of this doe. She is beautiful in terms of a stout blaze face head. She opens up gnarly in the floor of her chest. She wins in this particular class. In an older set of does, she is fresher in terms of just the way that she wears her condition. She's tidier in her chest line. She's shallower in her shoulder. Her proportions are wacky, and she blends them still on a hind leg that I thought was better than the rest of them. In motion, she's able to just hold her build and balance in terms of her top and her rump line because she's built better than the rest of the field underneath. If you think she doesn't pack a big enough punch, you'd be sadly mistaken. This is the biggest loined animal that we have had throughout the entirety of the show. In a perfect world, could we expand her in the pocket of her forerib? Maybe just a shot, but it didn't bother me much. She won this particular class fairly handedly. I thought there was a pair of them here in the middle that I spent some time thinking on. I have a doe here in third that probably utilizes her hip and her hind leg just a little bit better for what I'm biased towards. A lemon-headed one that sits in second is gnarly in every direction. That is the stoutest headed, the biggest chest, and the biggest front foot that we have had in the ring today. Her cage is gnarly and it's big and expansive. I thought for as much power as that doe packed up high and from behind, we need to reorganize her just a shot in the way that she balances a little higher in her flank. She'll duck her tail and she'll pull her hind leg in from behind. She wears her shoulder coarser than our class winner. She's deeper in her neckline than what our class winner was. I didn't think she pulled together quite as eccentric and big ring in terms of her look from the side. As much as I like her just overwhelming quality feature in breeding from a breeding standpoint and a show doe, I need to probably elevate her. She's longer off either side of her skeleton. I thought truer in her rib and more progressive in her power than the young man's doe that we have here in third. I want to compliment this young man. He's doing a nice job showing a doe that's just a little ornery and wanting to fight the system. She's got loud out there pieces. Her neck set is high. Her shoulder is shallow. I still think she has a good turn and bend to her barrel. Of our top three, that doe is carrying the most in terms of just her natural condition. I thought she tapered out of her upper pin set. She'll pull her hind leg in from behind, and she got shorter off either side of her skeleton. Young lady, nothing to take away from you here in four. I've judged a lot of doe shows in the past month where you would be dragging a real easy class winner. That doe is stout. She's big in her feature. I thought in motion things maybe didn't fit. She'll sag right in behind her shoulder. She'll drop her tail just a shot, and she'll pull her hind leg in from behind. I thought with that, we weren't quite as just progressive in our pieces as what the top three were, but I thought a really good class of them there to round out our doe show. If you guys don't mind, put your hands together for them on a job well done.
Looks like Case got his hands full over there as we start into the Champion Doe show or Champion Doe drive. Our class winner from Class 1, Jalen Sparks. Second place, KJ Anthony. Class 2, our class winner, Grady Kempker. Second place, Hadley Holt. Class 3, first place, Paisley Akins. Second place, KJ Anthony. Class 4, first place, Bristol Lee. Second place, Caden Noochman. And Class 5, first place, KJ Anthony. Second place, Sarah Beth Decius. On our Doe show today, the champions, where am I at here? Champions are going to receive $500 cash, reserve $300 cash, and third place, $150 cash along with banners. Wanted to announce that we found a pair of orangish, reddish reading glasses. If anybody's missing those, we've got them.
In our whiteface division, really just 2 entries, but 2 really high-quality ones. Young ladies brought us one that I think, honestly, he comes to win in terms of just presence and look and balance from the side. This one's paints a very, very good picture and silhouette. But at the same time, this one still works a great deal of touch and tone down his back, out through his rump. You can see some extra pop to his stifle and thigh. Like a lot of things about this one. I think if we're going to get critical of this one, I think compared to our 1 and 2, this one could be a notch shapelier, maybe right in his arm. To go along kind of with that stifle shape, but that's been critical. One that is awfully good looking from the side. Young lady does an awesome job displaying that. Young man in 2 with the horn weather. This one, you can tell he's just green and immature. And honestly, one of the things I like about this guy is when we really study this one's indicators, this one does have a notch more turn and pop when we study his arm. And really when we study some of the creases and shapes to his rump, I think this one gets there at some point in time. To me, young man, this one just needs to be a notch more flexible in terms of his spine. We need to maintain some squareness in terms of his hip and hind leg assembly. When we ask him to go and maybe shave a little sternum off him, but I think he's one that a little more feed, a little more maturity continues to get better and better. Again, show these young kiddos our appreciation for the livestock they brought out here.
Well, like I said, whenever we started our Doe show, I've been very excited to join you guys this weekend in Waco. I had extremely high hopes, and the first show of 4 that we have for today and tomorrow certainly has exceeded my expectations. As we work throughout the divisions or the drives, as we go throughout, we'll go back through very briefly and talk what I thought. Class 1 was a humdinger, and it's always a privilege when you judge that your Class 1 or your Division 1 winner is built like what you can follow along with in the bigger and the heavier and the older divisions. I thought that the young ladies here on the front line was built with just a little more athleticism than the young man's that's there in second. She's bent back further in her knees. She opens up big in her chest. Her best day is still to come. I could probably elevate her. She's a little higher in terms of her jump and lower in terms of her tail set, but I think all the parts and pieces are there. The doe that was in second, flighty look, really high quality, little forward in terms of our knee, probably didn't match the same just body progression as what we had here on the front line. I'm a big fan of the doe, the young ladies out of Class 2. In terms of actually building and assembling livestock, this one might have the pieces that are the toughest to find. Her barrel is incredibly ginormous, and it progresses right out of arguably pound for pound, age for age, the biggest pin set and turn to her lower leg. My favorite thing about her in motion, that's where that doe's at her best. She carries her top line perfectly level. Her tail set sits high at the top side of a long hip, and her hind leg supports a big broad pin set with the right flex and give underneath of her. She probably is just show doe-esque in terms of her neck and shoulder, as some others out here not necessarily, but that's tough livestock to create and the kind that you want to keep around. The one in second, high compliment from a show doe standpoint, neater in terms of her neck and where she ties it. She got softer in her handle right in behind her blade, and I didn't think that she opened up as big out of her upper rump and carried it as consistent in terms of her lower joint work. I thought the front 2/3 of the doe that comes to us out of Class 3 were incredibly impressive. Beautiful head, short ear, her neck and blade and chest line, and the way all that sits is incredibly impressive. I found probably more of a hiccup of our front line in motion. She's a shorter hip doe that'll stamp a straighter hind leg and buckle it in underneath of her. I didn't think in terms of her build probably was quite as bulletproof. Same reason that the young man's there on the back line got beat. I thought more progressive in terms of her barrel, her back, and her upper rump. I thought in motion off either side of her skeleton, we were just a little too straight and rigid in the way that we went underneath of us. Love her quality. Wish she went just a little bit better. We had a humdinger out of Class 4. If you can't probably draw one up any better from the side. Her neck, her chest line, and her lower body balance is incredible. She's shallow shouldered. Her lines tie together impressive. Her silhouette is chalked up to the fact that she was built the best in that particular class. Her hind leg is stout. It flexes right underneath of her. Her knee is bent back and above it supports a big broad chest. She's not quite as round in terms of her body. She's probably not quite as big in terms of just her pin set as another one that we're getting ready to talk. But in terms of her build and balance, that thing is perfectly my speed. The one in second, it was close between 2 and 3. I thought was just better built in motion. She opens up in her blade, gets softer in her top line, and probably just didn't balance up quite like the one here on the front line. We close out with Class 5, and I thought that this doe won a tough contest rather handedly. That doe is stout-headed. She's short-eared. She's bigger in terms of her chest than the doe that's there out of Class 4. She's rounder in terms of her body. Hands-on, this thing is incredibly impressive, and the way that she spans over her loin edge and transitions beautifully into her upper rump and carries it all down as perfectly square to her hind leg as possible. Is she probably just as neat or just as tidy in terms of her line as the doe out of Class 4? Not necessarily. I like that she blends it with just a shot more power. None are more powerful than the doe that comes to a second out of Class 5. I thought her hind leg needed to fire a little bit better, and I thought she could progress just a little bit neater up front. With that being said, I'm sorry, folks. I know I can get long-winded. You guys brought Elite Livestock. It's my job to tell you why you either won or got beat, because I would be upset if I brought one of these things to town and ended up getting beat. If you guys don't mind, I know it's going to be a long weekend. We're going to put our hands together for all of our exhibitors on a job well done. I get to pick 3. The young lady out of Class 5 has your champion doe.
Here on the sheep side, we've got maybe contrasting ends in terms of maturity, but both have quite a bit of merit. I'll just tell you kind of what's rolling through my head. We're going to start with the young lady's weather that no doubt he's got an advantage in terms of just burliness and stoutness and ruggedness, like all those things about him. I think it's just genuine, just bulk and width and dimension that wins it for me. Yeah, he's got some intangibles in terms of the way that one's built from his hock down and from his knee down. Really like the extra fuzz that he's got on him. And I think this one's got shape in all the right places and still pretty tidy about his shoulder. I think if I were to get critical, this one, if we could just free him up and make him not want to curl up quite as much on the move and kind of relax his spine and make him use both ends of his skeleton a notch freer, I think we'd have one that competes with the blacks. The 1 and 2. Young man, you brought us another one that is a little immature, but this one has a ton of merit. I like the shape and creases that this one pushes down his top. I like the extra pop he has to his stifle. To me, I think this one needs just a shot more oomph when we study him through his chest, especially compared to that class winner. And I think if you study him in his arm, I think he gets a bit flatter there compared to our class winner, maybe a notch daintier footed when we study him at the ground. But really good class of white-faced crosses. Again, why don't we show these kids our appreciation for their hard work?
Well, they're grabbing some pictures with those champion does. So if you've got weather goats, get them headed this way towards your ring, and we'll get the weather show started just as soon as they get that done. We won't rush through it, not having huge numbers. But if you've got weather goats, particularly in them first 2 or 3 classes, go ahead and head this way towards the staging ring, and we'll get the weather show started once they take pictures and everybody gets a few minutes. What?
Really an incredible duo here in the sheep ring, and just 2 in this heavy white face cross class, but these are 2 that are extremely good. I think the differences are minute. But I'll tell you kind of what I'm seeing. Young man in the black shirts brought us one that I'm not gonna lie, suits me a notch better. When we study just the way this one's built and kind of the under portion of his skeleton, I think that's where he wins it. This one to me is shallower. When we study him China chest, he's shorter bladed than the 1 and 2, and this one reads really 3-dimensional. When you get off on a 3/4 view, the shapes and the turn that this one has, really starting behind his blade and all the way out through his rump to his pin set. I think this is one that pushes a great deal of shape. And to me, this one is one that he moves around the ring the way that I want him to. I think when he gets going fast, he gets a little choppy up front and acts like he's straight up front. But there's no part of that one skeleton up front that reads straight to me when he's parked. And when he slows down just a bit, that one will actually get out and reach and grab the ground in front of him. He's got the right kind of hind leg. It's aesthetically pleasing, but it's still functional and bendy. I like that one a great deal. 1 and 2, this one is extremely unique, and I'm not going to lie, young lady, I told you, this is an awfully good one to sit too. This is an extremely good class, and the class winner has some advantages in those places that I just spoke, but I'll tell you where I like this one better. This one, in terms of center body dimension, this one is expanded a bunch. I mean, he is opened up and wide through the center portion of his cage, and he rolls a great deal of shape down his back. I almost maybe prefer this one's muscle texture a bit more than our class winner. But to me, young lady, the challenge on this guy is we need to soften him up in his flank line and compared to his chest, and chisel away some of that sternum and make him operate his hind leg with a notch more stability and a notch more flexibility. And then I think he competes with that class winner. Very, very good class of whites. Again, show these kids our appreciation for a nice set of stock.
Weather goats, class 1, 2, 3. Head this way, guys. We'll get the weather show started. If you got a goat in Division 1, you're on deck. Head this way.
Well, we had just 4 here in our whiteface class show, but I will say that these are 4 extremely good ones, and I think it gets hard. I think probably if you guys have been ringside, I think you probably know probably where I land in terms of grand, and I think it gets close when we think about reserve. I'll just tell you kind of what's rolling through my mind. The one out of class 1, I think this is one that loved the added ruggedness this one offers. Like this one because he's got some intangibles. I like this one's neck, and I like the way he's extended up front. The challenge on this guy was he just needs to be a shot wider through his chest and a shot wider through the back portion of his skeleton and chisel up his scapula, make it shorter a notch and take away some of his sternum, and I think we'd have one that really is a no-brainer. The one in class 2, this one we talked about painting the right kind of picture from the side in terms of proportions. This one's really three-dimensional in terms of his shapes. Does he do some weird things at times when he wants to kind of drive down and kind of hunker his neck and his front end down? Yeah, and it may, like he's trying to do right now. But young man does an awesome job putting them together. And I'd say really when we study him in motion, that's really where this one probably excels of this group of 4. And then we've got our seconds back there. Young man in our first class, really green one, really trim one with a bright future. That one just needs to be a shot wider. I think that's where we run into problems. Our second class, we like that one center body dimension and just the muscle texture that one has up high. It was his hind leg, his flank line, the proportions from the side where maybe we had some challenges. I'm going to look at these one more time, and then I'll give you a champion and reserve champion white face cross influence. My apologies, but probably took a little longer on this class of downs, and I'm not gonna lie, there's just bits and pieces in all these, and there's intriguing things as we study all these as well too. And these things are little. Honestly, there's a little projection that goes into these as well. I think the logical place to start is young lady there to my right with I'm gonna call it. Purple colored shirt, lilac colored shirt. But to me, I think this is the one that most effectively combines some width and dimension and burliness with some athleticism. He's one that reads right in his skeleton, especially the flex and reach he's got off his hind leg. I think to me, young lady, if we're going to get critical of this guy, we need to change his proportions of his underline. We need to chisel some of his sternum away and drop his flank a little bit. But that's been critical, one that I like a bunch. In this class particularly, it's his combination of terminal merit and still athleticism that makes him the winner under this guy. The 1 and 2, this one is green, and I mean, I'm going to go past green and just say skinny, and he is. You see what you see is what you get there. This one, I'm not going to lie. This one, when we put these things in motion, this one is so darn intriguing. This one knows how to get out and go and operate a really, really good skeleton. His spine stays where it needs to. His neck attaches where it needs to. His head stays up there. This one is probably the true athlete. When we just ask him to get out and move, this guy is it. And I like so many things about him. It's hard. Does he read flatter in his cage? Does he read narrow in his chest? I'm not going to disagree with you on any of that. That's a really skinny Southdown sheep, though, that looks really wild walking around. Young lady's getting him put together. I think just some time in the ring, and my guess is he's got a little attitude, right? He's got a little attitude, but he's learning. That one's doing the right things. That one is very, very intriguing. I think you project that one out, and I think he gets scary good. The 1 in 3. I'm not going to lie. When this one hit the ring, I thought, well, here we go. That one, he's got the big muscles and the big cage, and I think he is that. That one we study just terminal merit. This one's got a lot of it. I like the shape and flare he's got to his leg, the punch he's got to his stifle. Young man, the challenge on this one, we've just got to change the way his underline and his top line progress. He's got to get progressively deeper from front to rear instead of the opposite. And I think the biggest thing on this one, young man, we need to rock his scapula back, his shoulder blade back in him. It's a little too straight up front, and that's why he's a challenge when we ask him to go around the ring. Young man's got one here in 4, the U-Lamb at the end. I love this one's body. I like her rib cage and the curvature she has working out of her blade and her sternum. She's got a great deal of progressive shape working down her back. I like the muscle texture that she's got. Young man, to me, to compete with these others in the class, we need to make this one a notch bigger out the backside of her hip, out of her, and the backside of her skeleton. We need to make that pin set match her rib cage, buddy, and then we have one that proportions extremely well, and we might even bump her up 2-3 spots. Again, really good class of Southdowns. Why don't we show these kids our appreciation?
Okay, we're going to get started in the goat ring over here with Class 1. You guys be walking in. Class 2, you're on deck.
Kevin warned me this morning of the quality that we're going to have to work through, and so it should go without question. I think every goat that has come in our side, I've genuinely emotionally liked quite well. There is loads of quality here in just a top three. If we had 7, 8, 9 of them, I'm sure we'd still land on the top three. And so you guys should be extremely proud of the stock that you bring to the table. I thought that they lined up rather handedly in my mind. We got a spot neck goat here that excites me quite well, and it's a really strong way to go ahead and get started. Where he beats the goat in second in my mind is in motion. The goat that starts us, he's longer and flightier in his neck. He's shallower and just a little tidier in terms of his chest and shoulder. He's longer in his hip. He's better in where he sets his tail, and his hind leg stays just a nickel square. That guy on his own right is wild-bodied. He is big loined, and he opens up with as much authority out of his upper pin set as what we've had. He doesn't match just the overwhelming substance and feature of the goat that we have in second, but I thought in motion he settled the score as the better built piece of stock that better maintains his balance. The trade-off is I'd be extremely proud to raise the goat in second. He's bigger in his chest. He's gnarlier in his arm. That guy stamps down behind on as big a feet as what we've had through the ring at this age and this size. His issue, he comes in just a few more pieces. I know it's a jackpot show. We're just getting our goats broke. He's a little lower in his shoulder. He dips in behind it. That guy's got plenty of crease off either side of his spine. I could lengthen his tail and lengthen his hip and set him higher in his tail, square his hind leg just a shot as he goes right away from you. I thought his rib cage was just a little rounder. I thought his edge was just a little bit sharper than the goat that we have here coming rounding us out. The young man's doing a nice job showing a stout structured big featured goat that has quality. Today we're on the young side of things. Obviously our hind legs sit just a little bit straighter up and down. I could just make him just a little tidier in terms of his build. I thought a really good class from there top to bottom. If you guys don't mind, show your congratulations to those guys on a job well done.
Here, our heavier class of downs. Honestly, lots of differences as we view all four of these, and I'll tell you, kind of, it's challenging. There's bits and pieces in all of these, and I don't think that there's one that just effectively just kind of wraps it all together. Young lady in the white shirts brought us one that I think probably best combines the things I'm looking for. He's being a knothead. I don't know that there's any of them out here that really want to behave. The one in 3 is the one that actually wants to kind of prance around the ring and behave. But I think when we study this one and just study his skeleton, the slope he's got to his blade, I think the progression of depth when we study him front to rear, and still the muscle texture that this one is able to roll down his back and out through his rump, I think fundamentally so much good in this one. That's why he wins. 1 and 2, I'm not going to lie, this one's probably a shot bigger just in terms of the center portion of his skeleton. This one may even have a notch more just punch and dimension up high. I'd like to change his texture a little bit, really tone him up just a notch more. And I think the biggest thing on this one is we just need to change him in terms of the front side of his skeleton. Just shave off some of that sternum and breast and make him a notch more attractive up there. No doubt the 1 and 3 is one that is striking. Young lady does an awesome job showing him. He grabs your attention when he prances around the ring. I like a lot of things about this one. You're asking me, why is this one 3 then? To me, this one to me is too straight off both ends of his skeleton, and that's why he prances. As you watch him walk out of here, he doesn't come close to meeting his stride. He compensates for it up front by getting in at his knee, turning his toes at about maybe 10 and 2 is kind of where he turns them to, and he's still, he just looks like he hurts off the backside of his skeleton more than anything. Just doesn't want to get out and move. Really fundamentally good one here in 4. This one's green again. Like that this one's got an extra shot of just width between his forearms, and I like the extra shape that this one works down his back. Young man, the challenge on this one is we need to tidy this one up in terms of his breast, tidy him up in terms of his shoulder, and put a notch more shape and dimension and roll more on the backside of his skeleton. But again, really neat class of heavyweight downs, bits and pieces all the way through. Again, show these kids your appreciation for their hard work.
Again, my apologies for taking just an extra second. I thought there was a trio of goats, and more so the longer I studied, a duo of them here on the top end of things that I was going back and forth between. They're just a little different in how they hit me. Here at a jackpot show, I sit back and ask myself, which one would I be more excited to go into the barn every day to set up, to look at? I thought the young ladies kind of paint-chested one here. One, just the build and balance contest compared to the young ladies that slots here in second. From the backside of his rack over his loin, his pin set and tail, I thought sat in him leveler, and I thought pulled together a more athletic look between the two. If you wanted to tell me, Case, he's a little forward in his knee, he's not quite as rank in terms of just his feature, his barrel, or from behind, I could agree with those arguments. What I say is in motion, we got a cobra neck, a short shoulder, and a hind leg that goes to the ground as square and consistent. I thought he won from the side, being the better balanced option of the two. The trade-off is the black-headed goat in second. From a three-quarter, he wins this particular contest. He plants wider at his front foot. He builds up bigger in terms of his arm, and he's way ranker in just the shape of his body. Because of it, he's able to span more mass over the backside of his loin. I thought two things. Though his lower leg was just a little fuller, he doesn't tie the backside of his loin just perfect into the top part of his jump. I could elevate him in terms of his hip, and I could settle him right there in the middle part of his back. back. He works some extra set into his hind leg underneath of him. I thought a close pair. I like the build and balance of the young ladies that started. I kept growing on the young ladies here in third because I think there are some pieces of that goat that are incredibly impressive. Mainly, his body shape is good. His progression of width is built in there right. He starts big behind his shoulder and he jumps back broader out of his upper pin set. I thought it was two things that got us beat. A little forward in our knee. We need to plant our front foot just a little bit squarer. We got the goats in motion. I thought he was blander in his look than the top one. I didn't think he handled his mass from behind quite as good in terms of his hind leg as the one that we had there in second. Nothing to take away from the young ladies here in four. If you want to talk about buck, feature, rank, power, the right body shape, that is where we land here in four. He's got gorilla legs underneath of him. He is 7 miles wide end to end, and his body and his barrel indicates that. I thought that guy got just a little blander in terms of his neckline. He got just a little deeper in terms of his shoulder. He's a short back goat that gets just a little off in the pitch to his hip. So I thought there were some small things that maybe got us beat in that particular department. Probably is just good. I'm a slick steer guy by trade. I like the goat here that's going to close us out in terms of just his body roll. It reminds me of a good Charlet steer on the turf at San Antonio. His barrel is big, his loin is broad, and he's got muscle from behind. I thought there was just a couple of things that maybe got us beat. That goat hit me just a nickel coarser in terms of his blade. He's a little higher in terms of his flank, and he didn't balance up quite as hit you in the mouth as what I thought a top couple of them did. A really good class of them, a good duo there to go 1-2. If you guys don't mind, put your hands together for him on a job well done.
Another really high quality class of downs, and really it's high quality all the way through. We've got four here that I'm not going to lie, present some challenges to me. So I'll just kind of walk through what I'm thinking. I think Young Lady in the Whites brought us one that I think this one needs to win, especially in amongst its contemporaries. This one we study just skeletal building quality. This one's the best in terms of the angles off both ends. He's got the most reach when we study him up front and from his rear leg assembly as well too, and still works a great deal of muscularity down his back and through his rump. Is he the most tricked out in terms of his breast, his chest, his sternum? No, but I don't know that we've got one in here that really is in terms of their underline. But I think we just truly just watch these things in motion. This is the one that's the most collected. This one's the athlete that still has the terminal merit stamped on that skeleton as well too. The 1 and 2 is a challenge because I think Young Lady does an awesome job assembling this one from the side. Makes him want to run uphill, makes him look tall-shouldered. And I think he generally is those things. I think the challenge on this guy is when we ask him to kind of move around the ring, he just wants to drop his chest a notch too much. He wants to get a bit more uncoordinated off his rear too and duck his hip and get a notch shorter in terms of his hip. But one we like, when the Young Lady gets him propped up, I like the extra oomph he's got to his center body. And this one's got some extra shape up high. I don't think he's got the athletic look of our class winner. The 1 and 3 is a challenge because this one to me, I think when you just study his skeleton, this one's actually made extremely, extremely nice in terms of his blade angle. I like the way he reaches off of it. He's got an incredibly attractive hip and hind leg. The challenge on this one, Young Lady, is I know he's not being real smart, but you're making tons of progress with him out here. He's getting a lot smarter every second that he's out here. This one, the widest part of his body is the center portion. I think this one needs to be wider and have more just true muscle shape working down his back and dropping down in his flank, chisel him up in his chest floor. Man, he looks like a class winner if we do those things, but really appreciate this one's skeleton. I wish he would just get out there and have an attitude where he'd actually use it and not want to hump up his spine and do some of those things. But I like the fundamentals of that one. The 1 and 4. Not gonna lie, this one parked is challenging because I like the look that this one offers from the side in terms of just underline quality versus the top line of that one's skeleton. He's about as close to the mold of any in this class that we're looking for. The challenge on him is when we ask him to go, he just looks almost like he hurts off both ends of his skeleton, just short, choppy stride. To me, I think this one truly needs to be wider between his forearms and out of the backside of his skeleton, but surely need to free him up in his movement. Again, good class downs, great way to round out our South Down division. Ready to see these come back in for drive. Again, give these kids a round of applause.
I think this is the last installment before we name our lightweight champion here. Again, I'll probably say it a couple more times as we work throughout the day. My highest compliments to you GOAT exhibitors here on this side. You're bringing in just extreme quality here. I really like our class winner. I think to the same song, different course of what we've been after all day long in terms of building livestock athletic with a big ring look from this side. I thought our class winner was really nice. Specifically, I thought his skull shape outside of his mouth and his jaw just a little bit. I thought his skull was gnarly. I thought his chest was bigger and still shallower than what we had in 2 and 3. That GOAT proportions incredibly well. If you want to tell me that in motion he pulls his hind leg in just a shot, that he's just not quite there yet right in behind his shoulder, I could agree with you there. He's fat, steery body, specifically compared to the one in second. I thought the length and strength off either side of his skeleton allowed that GOAT to prop up with a look that I'll just remember a little bit longer. Needs just a little bit of time right in there behind his blade, but I'm confident it's going to come. Probably the most genuine piece of stock that we've had through the ring today is the young ladies that's here in second. That GOAT is incredibly big in the center part of his rib. He opens up true to the top side of his barrel, and he handles accordingly right in behind his shoulder. I thought if we could make that guy just a notch better over the edge of his loin and how we tied it into the front part of his hip, I would be debating a switch between 1 and 2. I thought because his loin edge was just a little stale and his knee was a little bit forward, he wasn't able to pull together with the same look as what we had in our class winner. He's shorter necked, a little forward up front, and he pulls him in just a shot from behind. The lemon-headed GOAT that comes here in 3, I thought has pieces that make a big-time winner. That guy's arm and front foot is the biggest of this particular lineup. I'd be lying if I said that this guy didn't handle the bass right in behind his shoulder, over his loin edge, and transition beautifully out of the top part of a stout upper hip. I thought as you get him from the side, that GOAT came in a couple more pieces, specifically the back third of his body. His hip's just a little bit short. His hind leg is just a little bit straighter. I couldn't get that guy to balance because of it. His flank gets a little high, his shoulder gets a little low, and I thought there were some parts and pieces of that guy that could just go a little bit better. But I thought an extremely high-quality group of them there to round out the lightweights. If you guys don't mind, put your hands together as we get ready to welcome in the first division of the day. We get started here on one of three divisions, and I know Ryan's getting ready to talk one, so I'll be brief. I thought Class 1 was extremely good. It was split, a pair of stout goats in motion. I thought the spot-backed one. I thought even in this particular division, if I was going to bank on one staying as square and true in terms of his skeleton, it'd be that guy. He teams it with a progressive wild body shape and upper pin set, and that guy still packs a punch. We can make him just a shot burlier in terms of his feature, but I thought outside of that, that guy was really, really good. The goat in second, I would have been proud to raise. He had some far out there pieces. His front foot, his forearm was bigger than what our class winners was. His head and his chest matched the same width to his body and his upper hip. I thought in motion that guy came in just a few more pieces today, a little coarser and deeper in where we wear our shoulder compared to our class winner. He dips just a shot right in behind his blade, and I could elevate his pin set. I thought class 2 was close. They're completely different speeds. The one that comes back to us on the front line, I thought did more for me in terms of just his build and balance of what we've been after all day long. That guy was taller at the point of his shoulder. He held his top line and pin set and upper hip in him just a little bit better. I thought he maintained that. The reason why I won is he maintained that same advantage in motion, cobra neck, flat back. He needs to be just a little bit denser in my mind. His front foot sits in him just a little smaller. His chest sits in him just a little skinnier. I think even adjusted for weight, that guy probably hits me the most modest in his body. The young lady's black-headed goat was a good answer to what our class winner lacked. He was ranker in terms of his barrel and his upper pin set. He matched it with a better handle over his loin and the backside of his shoulder. I thought two things maybe interrupted that guy. A little higher in our loin, a little off in our hip, and had some extra set built into our hind leg. I just didn't know if that allowed everything to stay in concert from the side like our class winner did. We just close out on a good class of them, and I like our class winner quite well. His chest is the biggest. His head is the stoutest. If we could elevate him behind his shoulder, I think he's a daylight winner. That guy impressed me for what he lacked behind his shoulder. He gained over his loin edge. He has as much just real estate over the middle part of his rib and upper loin as what we have had. I thought if anything, he could be just a little shapelier from behind. He's a little flatter in terms of his upper rump and lower leg. I still thought his proportions were wicked. The young lady that was second, rank-bodied, stout upper hip, little forward in our knee, little bland in our loin. It didn't balance quite as good. So I thought a good division of them here. There's some differences between them. I like the young lady out of Class 3. She has your division champion. Young lady out of Class 1 is going to be her reserve. Congratulations to our D1 exhibitors.
Here in our down drive, I think we've got bits and pieces in all 6 of these that I think are pretty commendable. And I think we've got some things that maybe we'd like to change on all these too. But this Southdown breed was really about just surfacing the most good in my mind. And I think you guys probably saw what was probably most important to me in terms of traits and prioritization. I'm going to talk real quick and just tell you kind of where my mind's at. So when I shake some hands, you can kind of see or at least know some of the justification behind it. Class 1, that one looks like a true athlete. Looks like a show sheep from the side. When we ask that one to go, he boogies around the ring and has probably the best collected skeleton of any of the ones out here. The only one that probably comes close is that little skinny one behind him that needs a shot more punch. The one in 2, or Class 2, this one parked is so darn intriguing. This one paints the right kind of picture. I love the way that this one gets progressive in terms of his underline. I love the depth to his flank. I love this one's hip and hind leg assembly and the cheek shape he has from the side. The challenge on this guy is, does he want to get out and move and move the way he does because he's dumb, because he's not broke, a number of those things, or are there bits and pieces to his skeleton that prevent that? For this guy, I'm going to tell you, I think his angles are right. I think he's maybe got a shop big belly, but he's a Southdown sheep, and he sure enough looks like a Southdown sheep, and he looks like he's got Southdown brain cells on top of that. The one in the 3rd class, like this one, again, for the way he coupled all the pieces of merit together in terms of athleticism, bulk, density, lean muscle shape, and subterminal merit, and still had some ease when we asked this one to go in motion. This guy, we said, you know, is he tidy enough about his chest and his breast? Is he soft enough about his flank line to match that depth to his chest? those are the things you got to ask yourself. I guess that's the way I see all these. The one that suits me best is the one out of Class 1. He'll be your champion, Southdown. The one out of Class 2 will be reserved. Congratulations to these kiddos.
I thought the first class of middleweights was just a little challenging. I think all these goats are just a little bit different from one another. I think we have a goat in third that's got some wild pieces that maybe build and balance-wise need to be just a little more in tune. The best built goat here in second that needs just a shot more muscle. I ultimately resorted back to what I know best with substance and stoutness. I thought the young lady's white-eared goat here on the front line was the most genuine off either side of his body. That goat opens up the biggest in terms of his chest. He lands a big front foot atop a stout arm, and I think he transitions back. Where he wins is from this view right here. His upper rib and barrel I thought was the truest in the turn of it. That guy spans the most mass, blade back and hip down of anything that we have in this particular class. Looks like he spit his leg hair out at the base of his ankle, but that guy's feet, if you actually study, are incredibly big. Now in motion, I thought he got just a shot forward in his knee. I thought he pulled him in from behind, and we could make him just a little more fluid. But I thought for what that guy represented, he balanced good enough to play to his strength of being just the heaviest, muscled, roundest-bodied goat. The young lady's here in second is an intriguing animal. He is built better than what our class winner is in terms of the setback of his knee, where his front foot lands, and he throws his neck higher to the top of his shoulder. He's longer hip than what our class winner was. I thought from this view right here, that goat got the most modest in the turn of his forerib. I thought his upper rump sat just a little skinny off either side of his tail, and as he goes right away from you, I need more clearance at the base of his hock and his rear foot. He'll kind of taper just a shot to his corners. Young lady's doing a great job getting a really good looking, sound structured goat. I thought his proportions were a little bit better here than the young lady's goat that's going to close us out in three. Young lady, your goat might have the wildest pieces of anything out here. He is the longest in his neck. He is the best in terms of his shape. We got the goats rolling and going in motion. I thought we worked some extra set to our hind leg. I thought we got just a nickel forward in terms of our knee. We didn't part our pieces together just the best today. I thought an extremely high quality trio of them with a good class winner. If you guys don't mind, put your hands together for him on a job well done.
Only two in our Dorper division, but these two can definitely stand some competition. I will definitely say that, and I think it gets really close. I think it's give and take as we study these things, and I know both of them are probably just learning at this stage, and they're not the most intelligent creatures right now, but I think what it comes down to, I think when we study these guys on the move, I think they're ones that probably have they have contrasting strengths. I think the one The one with the spot on his shoulder that we're going to go ahead and use, I think this is the one that's a notch tidier about his blade. He's shorter about his scapula. I think he gets out and operates maybe his front leg just a shot better, whereas the 1 and 2 probably operates his hind leg a notch better. The challenge on these guys, I think, is when you study just their underline and the way they're constructed in their rib cage. I think that's where the major differences come. I could say differences in muscularity. I don't know that it's really just kind of splitting hairs. I like probably the handle and the texture of the 1 and 2 a shot better, but for sure in terms of blade length, tidiness in terms of sternum and actual curvature, in convex shape, coming out of that one's rib cage and right in its foreflank. Man, the spot-shouldered Weather is one that hits me really hard from that standpoint. I think he's one that reads with the right kind of progression of body depth when we study him from the side, too. Like I said, the 1 and 2, like the extra handle that this one's got. I like this one's hip and hind leg a shot better. I think for this guy, this one needs to come with more plump shape right behind his shoulder blade and right behind his elbow. And even up high on his rib cage. I think we get more curvature there. We get more of that weight distribution going up and out instead of down and deep. But that's being really critical of an awfully good one. Really good duo here in our Dorper breed. Why don't we show these kids our appreciation?
We hit this situation just a little ago where I thought there was 3 goats that were all just a little bit different, and I think everybody around ringside, I know the smart industry people that we have. I think this is a good class where you could just sit and talk about goats and the differences that you see. I thought after I got around our class winner, just in terms of his front skeleton, I don't want a single trait stock. I thought the lemon-headed one that's going to start us off, I thought he was one of the 2 heavier muscled goats that I thought balanced up just a little bit better than the young man that's here in second. At this age and at this stage, I like goats that are round and elevated in terms of their cage. I thought that that's where our class winner had the advantage. I get in and handle. That goat is the best in terms of just the shape increase that he offers out of the backside of his shoulder compared to the young man's here in second. I think they're both just a shot forward up front. I thought the young lady's class winner was longer in terms of his hip and better in where he sets his tail. The young lady will get him stuck and underneath of himself. That goat proportions up just a little bit better. If you told me, Case, he sits a little heavier and coarse in terms of his blade, he's a little forward in terms of his knee, I could buy that, as he is big and have as much real estate off either side of his tail as the young man's in second. Not necessarily. I thought that the lemon-headed goat brought forth good shape, good spread, and had a bigger ring look than the young man's that's here in second. Young man, you got an interesting goat. Whenever you walked in, I thought that we might have allowed bucks into this deal. He is incredibly rank in every direction. He is the biggest in terms of his paws and his running gear underneath of him. He is the broadest chested, the biggest armed. I thought his cage was good. You asked me, Case, where does he get beat? A couple of areas. He sits a little deep and saggy. He's not quite as just shapely as what the goats on either side of him are. We get him out in motion. He's a shorter, thicker neck goat that'll drop his tail set, and he starts to throw him just a little wide from behind. If you like that kind of start, I can see why. I thought he was a first or third. I slotted him second because I appreciate his quality. The goat that intrigues me a lot is the goat here in third, a cape-shouldered one. He reminds me of my class winner in terms of his proportions from the side. Cape-shouldered, long-necked. His lines are better than the goat that we just got done talking. I thought there was 2 things. We get into this view right here. He sits the closest at his front foot and the skinniest in his forerib of our top 3. We got the goats out in motion. He'll pull his hind leg in from behind, and he'll get just a little stubborn in the way that he fires his rear right. I didn't think he was stout enough to get around the one that won. I didn't know if he was quite muscular enough or move good enough to get around the one that started. Pick your poison. I thought a wicked good top trio that it had some discussion. I told this young lady who's been doing a really nice job showing stout structured, good barreled, opened up stock all day long how much I like her goat. She's just a little kind of spit all of his hair out. I thought from behind he pulled his hind leg in just a shot and hands on. He doesn't handle quite as just fresh and ranked to the edge of his back as what I thought our top 3 did. I thought there was some give and take, but a really good class of them. If you guys don't mind, put your hands together for those exhibitors on a job well done.
Here on the sheep side, as we start into our blacks in our natural division, I think we've got 3 here that are challenging. They're challenging to align, and I'll tell you the reasons why. We've got one, the one we're going to start with. This one is wide and dimensional, tall-shouldered, elite-looking in terms of his head carriage, has an incredible hip and hind leg, and wraps a pile of shape on that skeleton. Is there some baggage that comes along with it? Yeah, that one just gets a little bit crustier in terms of his breast and his shoulder assembly, but there's really not anything. When we study him compared to his contemporaries, I don't know that it's really just like bone and skeletal quality that's maybe like making him look that way. I think a lot of that is just creases and muscles that are kind of bulging and making him look that way. I think that's one really intriguing one that's tall-shouldered, got an incredible hip and hind leg, big creasy top, really edgy. Like a lot of things about him. I think he wins because he combines a lot of terminal merit with an incredible hind leg and an acceptable look from the side. The one coming in 2, giant features on this one. This one is striking. When he comes in the ring, he kind of prances, and that draws your attention. I like that to some degree. I think the reason why this one prances is because he's a notch too straight, especially up front. That one's scapula needs to be laid back in him, have more angle to it. He needs to have more bend and flex at his knee. I like this one's center body and the curvature he's got there. And this one is deceivingly stout. But to compete with our class winner, he's got to be a little sounder off both ends of his skeleton, have a shot more thigh and stifle shape to compete with that class winner. The young man's brought us a stealthy looking 1 and 3. And I so badly want to work this one up, buddy, because he is so much my speed from the side. This one's skeletal quality is so good. And the picture he paints from the side, I love. I just need there, and I know he's skinny. I just need there to be more of him. Those two in front of you, they're bigger, they're chubby, chubbier, but they are more manly in terms of just true width between his front legs and out of the backside of his skeleton. We just need to make this one just a shot wider, and I think he beats those two in front of him. A really good trio, contrasting kinds. Again, show these youngsters our appreciation.
Last class of this middleweight division, and I think there's been some areas or two where it's been tough. I know we'll only have 3, 4, 5 maybe in a class, but I'll tell you what, I think 3, 4, or 5 that'll really make you think. We have the same situation here, but I'm still a big fan of the young man's black-headed goat that's going to go ahead and take charge. We can get it out in the open. He's a little high and prominent in terms of his jump. That guy, whenever he turns and goes right away from you, he's just a little vertical in terms of his hock. Again, I thought our last class winner wasn't perfect up front. That guy, for me, from the side, pulls together with a look that is incredibly just progressive. His head is stout. His chest is big, where he beats the goat in second. He's more elevated in terms of his blade. He sweeps back better in terms of his underline balance. That guy is dense, chunky, and wide, but I still thought his progressions, especially from his last rib back, the length of his hip, the set of his tail, and his lower body, hit me just a little harder today than what the young ladies in second did. The trade-off is the young ladies in second's just a little safer in terms of his hind leg. I know we're in the middleweights here, but if you study this goat in terms of his maturity pattern, it looks like he would show good at just right out at 105, 110, a big ring goat that's got a good look to him up front. I thought today he's just a little awkward in terms of his growing stage. He gets a little higher back into his flank, and then I get from right here, his progressional width is just a little awkward. He's good in the handle behind his shoulder, but he gets skinnier back over his loin and then just a little flatter in terms of his leg shape. I thought he was more dynamic in terms of his look up front than the goat here that we have here in 3, wide, chunky, and stout. I like livestock like that. That's the young ladies here in 3. I thought his cannon bone was a little short. I thought his neck was just a little bit thick, and as he goes from behind, he'll get just a little choppy in the way that he goes. I thought a wicked good top trio of them, a really nice first and second and third. If you guys would put your hands together for these kiddos on a job well done, we'll welcome the middleweights back in.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. This is this honestly looks like it should be like the natural drive right here. We've got three really high quality ones, and really it comes down to really prioritization. And if you wanted to talk different priorities kind of in these things, I could see where you could get a different alignment. For this guy, really it comes down to what I've talked about all day in terms of skeletal build, aesthetic quality from the side, athleticism, and still wrap as much terminal merit on there as you can. That's how we land with the young lady in the pink shirt. This one, to me, smokes them when we ask these ones, all three of these, to move around the ring. That's where he wins. This one is the most collected in his skeleton. He's got the right kind of angles working through his blade. He's got a hip and hind leg that gets out and operates with ease. He still actually has the right kind of progression of depth when we actually study him from his sternum back to his midrib. Is he one that you'd like to say, yeah, could we make him a notch softer in his flank maybe compared to some of these others? I think you could, but that's getting awfully critical of one that gets around with so much fluidity and so much ease. That's where he wins it for me. If you're going to come in here and just look at him from a 3/4 and find the chunky stout one, that's the 1 and 2. That one is wide. He's big handling up high. He's square-ended. To me, this one is challenging because I think his texture just reads a little soft to me. And I think this one gets, when we ask him to move around the ring, he just gets a notch more upright in his blade, and consequently you see it play out in his front limb, front limb reach. I think if we could change that about him and maybe make him a notch more athletic up front, I think he's one I can tie into, and I think he gives that class winner a run for his money. The 1 and 3. This one is probably the one that if you're going to tie into feature and bone and foot, this is probably your guy. This one reads stout. When we study him from his nostrils, through his blade, out to his dock, and to the ground, I mean, he just reads like a stout individual. I think there's some challenges that come along with that. I think this one probably reads the crustiest up in terms of his shoulder attachment, his front end. I think he's also one that reads the harshest in terms of his flank, and maybe gets a bit more restricted when we ask him to go off of his front end. But that's being critical of one that honestly could win a ton of classes. Really high quality trio here in our natural division. Again, give these kids a round of applause for their efforts.
We'll get ready to tie a bow here on the second to last division. I thought Class 1 was extremely good. I thought those goats were just a little different. I told you guys that the white-eared one that joins us back on the front line, that was the most genuine piece of stock that we had out here up front. That goat plants him the truest in terms of just his width. His chest is broad and his barrel is big. I thought that laid the groundwork for the biggest hip goat to stack the most shape up high. He was the most progressive in his wedge. He got back bigger over his loin edge. You ask yourself in motion, does he just kitty cat quite as good as maybe some other ones out here? I read him just a shot up and down off either side of his skeleton, but I think that goat has a lot of promise. The trade-off was the young lady's second place. I thought was a symbol just a little bit better, just not quite stout enough today. His shoulder, knee, and front foot are laid back better into him. He's a longer hip goat that I thought in motion from the side had more reach and flex. The issue is you get in behind him. He's a flatter bodied goat that pulls his hind leg in from behind and doesn't probably just progress as stout in terms of his upper hip as what our class winner did. I thought a close call. There was a good one that stood in third in that particular lineup of them as well. I told you guys there was a trio of goats out of Class 2 that were just a little different. Once I made my mind up and called the lemon-headed goat just stout enough, I thought he was a comfortable class winner. I like his just shoulder height, the look and arrogance that he offers ahead of his blade. I still thought from there back he outbalanced the one that was in second. He's a longer hip goat that plants his tail higher to the top side of it. He is lean and shapely. Now, I will say this, of the 6 that we have out here, pound for pound, I probably read him the most modest in just the natural shape of his forerib. I think we could stouten him off either side of his just tail and upper pin set and relax him just a shot up front. The trade-off was the young man's there in second. I told you guys had rank buck feature almost. He was stouter everywhere than what our class winner was. Head, chest, arm, rear leg. It was all bigger. His issue was he's not quite as in tune in terms of his shape. That goat will sag just a shot in the middle part of his rib cage and not read as round and elevated. I need to just see him a little creasier in terms of his kind. I thought class 3 was really good, and I really like the young man's class winner that joins us back. We've already said it once. His jump is just a little exposed. That goat will swing his hind leg in just a shot, and we could square him up on his front paw. I thought outside of that, he was dynamic in terms of his look. That goat's barrel, his back, and just his look from behind is impressive to me. He's not quite as shapely in terms of his loin as even what the goat out of the first class was. I think at a jackpot show, it's plenty good enough. Front 2/3 of the goat in second, I thought could run with our class winner. I thought even probably from a maturity standpoint, longer in terms of just his maturity pattern. That goat's got a long neck, and it ties right to the top of his blade. I didn't think the back third of us had caught up just yet. He's a higher flank goat that gets just a little flatter right there in terms of his lower leg. And I thought in motion, though he was good and sound, I thought we could elevate his pin set just a shot. So I thought the middleweights were really good. I don't know if there's just a clear-cut winner or reserve out here. But again, my compliments to all you guys. There were some really stout thirds in this particular division. I have my mind made up. We're going to keep Class 3 together as grand and reserve in this particular lineup of them. If you guys don't mind, put your hands together for those guys on a job well done.
As we go ahead and try and wrap up our natural division, I can't stress to you guys enough the quality that was throughout this natural division. We left actually 2/3 back there that are capable of winning a lot of shows, and that goes to show how good these sheep are. I'm just going to tell you real quick kind of my thoughts, and I think the features of the ones that we got out here. Class 1, that one, I talked about that one's hip and hind leg. I love the extra height at his shoulder, and I love the creasiness that one works down his back and the turn he's got to his rump. I think he does so many things good. The challenge on him is he gets just a notch too much, just kind of crude shapes working through the base of his neck, through his blade, kind of some areas there, and maybe pops a shot more breast coming right between his front legs. But love that one's hind leg, love that one's back, love the rump shape he offers from the side. The one out of Class 2, this one was the one that wants to move around the ring with so much ease and love the way he collects his skeleton. Is he being kind of a goofball, and when he gets out here and the young lady tries to get him parked, yeah, he wants to twist and turn and do some of those things, but there's times, moments of greatness when he stops and does the right thing, and he looks like a easy breed winner. You have to ask yourself, is he a little bit skinnier thighed than some of the others out here? Yep, he is. Is he a little bit harsher right in this flank? Maybe. He just doesn't have any flank wool back there, is my read. But when you study that one's progression of depth, coming out of his sternum right between his legs, all the way back to his sheath, his midrib, that's the way this guy likes him designed, is that look right there. We've got our seconds back there. We've got a big-legged, round-caged one that gets too upright in his blade. We've got a really stout, really dimensional one that's maybe a notch squishy about his handle. His texture needs to be a notch more exotic and laid back about his scapula and exotic about his front end. To me, it's kind of what can you swallow the most, and this is totally a prioritization exercise. This guy here prioritizes athleticism, skeletal build. The one out of Class 2 wins. The one out of Class 1 is reserved. Congratulations to these youngsters.
Only two of them here to start off our heavyweights, and I told these young people they're doing a really nice job. I think these goats are close, though completely different. Stay true to what I know. And the young ladies up front, I thought was stouter in every direction. We can say that we could elevate it his pin set just a shot. He pulls his hind leg as he goes right away from you. That guy up front, he's stouter in his mug. He's bigger in his chest and arm than the goat that we have here in second. I think likewise, it coincides with him turning just a better shape to his body, and he stacks more over the backside of his loin edge and into his upper pin set. The trade-off is kind of the wild-colored goat that lands here in second. I don't know if I caught him on his best day. That goat's got a bigger ring look to him than the young ladies that's going to start us off. He is incredibly stout to a big black head, and he ties it right to the top of his blade. That goat is tight-hided, round-ribbed, and has dimension from behind. I study him down low. He gets just a nickel feeble in terms of his running gear. He didn't hit me quite as dense from the outside, though I thought his lines tied together just a little bit better than the young ladies up front. I thought give and take there, but a good pair of them there to start our heavyweights off. If you guys don't mind, put your hands together for him on a job well done. We're getting to the short rows of our GOAT show now, and I have been impressed up until this point, but none probably have excited me quite as much as really the young man's class winner. Is he probably as dense and burly as the young ladies in second? Not necessarily, but that thing is a zoo creature from the side. Let me tell you guys this. I got up front, and I saw a stout head with a blazed face and a big old gnarly chest. And I said, here we go. We're getting ready to boogie here. We get these guys in motion. And what we teach our livestock judging team, elite livestock, get better in motion. This guy is tall at the point of his shoulder. He drops back as husky in terms of his mid-body turn. He's a little weird colored, and so you might not think he's quite as stout from behind. This is actually his advantage over the goat in second. He spans just more real estate off either side of his tail. He's deep in his twist and crotch, and he wraps a lot of shape into his lower leg. We ask the goats to go, and he ponies up on a good set of running gear underneath of him. He lands a big front foot perfectly square, and it elevates his neck from the side. And the goat, compared to the young ladies in second, he's more agile off of his rear skeleton and the way that he fires. That's a really, really nice place to go ahead and get started. Like we mentioned beforehand, he's probably not as just grizzly stout as the young ladies in second. If we were just going to judge him the front 2/3, I think it's razor close because the young ladies in second is stouter in his mug, he's bigger in his chest and fatter in his front leg. That guy comes back, has just opened up in terms of his mid-body roll as anything that we have had through the ring today. I made a tough call in motion and said that the young ladies in second, all about being a little forward in terms of our knee, we skinny back off either side of our tail, we pull our hind leg in and we'll kind of duck our pin set in motion. I didn't think we were quite as fluid and up tempo as the young man's in first, though I thought the pair was really close. Young man, nothing to take away from you. You ran into a buzzsaw there between 1 and 2. I thought our goat was incredibly authentic, and that's good that you picked out a piece of livestock that is big chested, he's awesome ribbed, and he has muscle. Here's where my challenge is. He's not quite as burly as the one in second. I didn't think his proportions, his build, or his look was quite as dynamic as the young man's that started. I thought thicker neck, deep in our blade, and probably didn't stamp down on the same feature. I thought a wicked good class of them. If you guys don't mind, put your hands together as we get ready to welcome in the last class of the day and a really impressive goat show. Only one bullet here, and I'll tell you what, it was shot out of a really, really big gun. That is one nice market billy right there, folks. Let me tell you what, I get really excited when I see elite livestock, and it started, I'll be honest with you guys, I saw that goat in the holding area, and I saw the stoutest head, the biggest chest, the bendiest legs underneath of him. This guy swings an incredibly big stick off either side of his body, but he supports it with as stout, as flexible, and as consistent of a hind leg. He is beautiful in the way that he holds his mid-spine, how he transitions to the front part of his hip. I have a good buddy that is very involved in the goat industry, and we talk oftentimes of what makes these things elite, what are we trying to chase. This guy, for as dense and broad as he is to every corner of his body, his running gear underneath holds together his spine, his pin set, and allows that guy to walk up with his neck 7 miles in the air. His back stays perfectly flat, and he runs uphill. He's going to look good in the division here in just a second. If you guys don't mind, put your hands together as we get ready to welcome back in the last division of the day.
Well, what an incredible way to start our medium wolves. And we've got 3 here that, honestly, I can't say it enough. The depth is remarkable. 3 extremely good ones. I'll just kind of talk through how I see. The young lady in the blue shirt brought us one that, to me, needs to win, and he needs to win because he really combines so much of what we're looking for in terms of just the silhouette and the aesthetic value he offers from the side, his ability to move his skeleton in motion with ease and flex, and still have some terminal merit when we study him down his, really working out of his blade all the way to his hooks and down into his thigh and stifle. I think that one's very, very good, and I think with time that one just continues to get better, but it's the way that one moves and the way that one collects when parked that wins this for me. Ultra intriguing 1 here and 2, and there are pieces about this one that I think are very, very good, and honestly I lean towards a notch more. Does this one maybe have a notch more attractive hip and hind leg assembly that offers a notch more cheek and flare from the side? He sure does. I like that about him. I like this one's loin shape, and I like that this one is very round in terms of the center portion of his cage. The challenge on this one for me is this one plays out 2 different ways. He struggles to relax his spine because he's a notch more upright in his blade, so it's harder for him to bear down on his backs and drop his spine and flex. And when we ask him to move, it's almost like his back end and his front end are going 2 different speeds, and it manifests itself in his spine popping up a little bit. But once she gets him parked, man, he is dynamite from the side. I think has bright days ahead. Really green, really immature 1 here in 3. And this one, I'll tell you, from the sidelines, guys, this one probably looks like a skinny one that barely has enough muscle. This one is really, really ripped up. This one has a ridiculous amount of muscle working out his top. It just all needs to blend together better, right? This one, the heel of this one's loin needs to blend into his jump and his hooks better. He needs to tie his tail up a notch higher on his hip, and I think we need to mold this one's shoulder into him a notch more refined. But 3 excellent, excellent medium wolves. Again, give these kids a round of applause for their hard work.
We get ready here for the last division of the day, and man, I've had a blast up until this point. I know we've worked through them efficiently, but again, I've said it a couple times already. If you have a goat out here in the race, my gosh, you have something. Class 1 was really good. Only 2 of them in there. I thought goats were completely different. I thought the young ladies up front was just stouter in every direction. His chest, his head, his barrel, his back, and from behind, he just spread more width, mass, and substance. The goat in second was just a little flightier in terms of his build. He had a bigger ring image and where he tied his neck, how he held his spine, and just transitions out of his upper pin set I thought was very good. I thought both of those goats weren't without flaw. I thought the young ladies on the front line, little coarse and blocky in terms of our shoulder. We could elevate our hip just a little bit. The goat in second, we could make just a nickel denser. We got deep far back into the woods here in classes 2 and 3. I thought the young man's here out of the middleweights. That is probably as just high rent of a piece of stock that we've had through the ring today in terms of the way that he is fit and assembled from the side. He is wild colored and he matches it with a crazy look. His neck is a mile long. His shoulder is short and his chest is big, and he comes back incredibly true in the turn of his body. We talked about it in class. Even his classmate, the one on the back line, he probably isn't quite as overwhelming in terms of his general feature, in terms of his arm, front foot, or from behind. I thought what he made up for is in motion. That guy is perfectly smooth, level in the way that he just keeps everything in concert. It's all in tune. It's all in check. We'll compare him to one here in just a second and talk the differences. Front 2/3 of the goat in second I thought was as good as what we have seen today. Back 2/3 of the young lady second place goat. Our pin set got skinny. Our leg shape got just a little bit flatter, and we coiled our hind leg underneath of ourselves. We had a slugger out of class 3, a heavyweight goat. I'll tell you what, I think I didn't say this in class. He's just a nickel mature. I think it's kind of tough showing or judging a goat that's getting ready to show here in about 60 days versus maybe some other ones that have just a little more time. His neck is just stouter than the rest of them, but he's got a little extra skin at the base of it. His head is stout, but if you call it just a little mature, I understand. What is impressive is that at his weight, at his size, his ability to get up and boogie, I I thought compared to the young man's in second, this goat opens up broader off either side of his body. His chest is bigger, his forearm is fatter. He is bent back just as good in terms of his knee. The way he ties the backside of the biggest loin that we have seen today into the front part of a long and incredibly square and open up hip is impressive. If you told me he might fractionally pull his left hind in, I could maybe see that argument, but it didn't bother me much. I thought as we compare, and I don't want to show my cards too quick, it comes down to the back two. As we study them in terms of what they see, we got one that is incredibly good running underneath that might could be just a nickel denser. I have one that matches that density that I'm after. I thought was able to just stay right on the Class 2 winner's heels in motion. It's close. Young ladies, Class 3 winner's your champion. Young man's Class 2 is your reserve. Congratulations to both of these kids on a job well done.
As we get ready on the GOAT side, going into our Ring A champion drive. Today, the grand champion market GOAT in Ring A is going to receive $750 cash, reserve $500 cash, third $250 cash, and then those points are going to go towards the Paupers tomorrow, and we appreciate them guys being here. It looks like an awesome show. Your Division I champion goes to Avery Edwards. Division II reserve champion, Bristol, or Division I reserve champion, Bristol Lee. Division II champion, Darren Rivera. Division II reserve champion, Kenley Uchman. Division III champion, Sarah Beth Decius. And Division III reserve champion, Briscoe Black.
On the sheep side, another excellent class, and we've got four that I can't stress enough, guys. Even all the way down, even into 3 and 4, very, very, very high quality sheep. To me, I think if we just break this down, and probably the biggest thing is we just study their skeletons. That's really kind of what aligns these things for me. Young lady brought us the really white-featured, really neat-looking one from the side that, I'm not going to lie, this one just just smokes it when you ask him to move around the ring. He'll do that all day long. He'll walk around, his head up, his neck tied high on his shoulder, his spine does what it's supposed to do, his tail stays where it needs to, and his limbs off both ends take the right kind of stride and reach. Could we put a shot more muscularity in him compared to maybe some of the others? I'm not going to argue with you, but to me, that's the athlete that has more than enough terminal merit and then has a striking look from the side. The 1 and 2 is a challenge for me because young man does an awesome job getting this one stuck and parked. And this one has that amplified terminal merit that maybe we're looking for in our class winner. If you're a muscle guy, this guy's got it. This one's extra creasy, got dimples and grooves in all the right places. And he props him up, and this one comes together from a proportion standpoint from the side. The challenge on this one is when we ask him to move. He wants to roll up a little bit in his skeleton. It's a product of him being a notch too upright in his blade, getting a notch tight in his spine, and having a tiny bit of breast in front of him, and tying his neck just a little bit lower on his shoulder. But young man does an awesome job getting that one stuck. We changed those things, and I think we've got a class winner in that second place animal. The 1 and 3, I'm not going to lie, this one is extremely striking. When he came in the gate, immediately I noticed this one, and there's so much to like about him. In terms of muscularity, three-dimensional look and shape, this one offers tons of that. The challenge on this one, Bud, with all that width and dimension, we've got to change the way it's constructed from the side. I like this one so much, really, if we could change his hip, right? His tail needs to come up, his jump needs to go down, and we need to stretch his hip out just a touch more, and that makes that one balance tons different if we do those things and shave a little bit off of his chest floor. Awfully high quality one to go ahead and park third. Let's talk about 4. Like the extra height at this one's shoulder. I like the extra muscularity that this one has, and this one has the unique ability when we study him up front to be wide-chested, but still be laid in pretty nice about his blade. So we talked about the positives. The places where I've got challenges on this guy, his hip and hind leg assembly. He almost gets where it's almost too flexible. He's got almost too much reach on his backside. Change the posture there. It makes him want to duck his hip. And when we ask this one to go, his front limb assembly and his back limb assembly don't quite agree. And what I'm saying is he's a notch straighter up front, a notch more flexible in the back. What's that do to his spine when we ask him to go? It kind of comes up, right? If we could change that about him, shorten his blade up, I think we've got an awful nice one. Again, I can't tell you how good this one is to land 4 in class. Give these kids a round of applause for their hard work, please.
All right, we'll get ready to tie a bow on this thing, and before we do, just a couple of people, just very briefly, that we need to thank wherever Kevin is at, right there. Kevin and his crew, man, I'll tell you what, there's nobody in the world quite as good at putting on events, albeit sales, shows, whatever it may be. Him and his family have been extremely kind to me, both him and Megan and their 3 kiddos, and what they're able to do here in putting on events is incredibly impressive. And I've always looked up to Kevin for his ability to do that, and thank you for having me out. I think with that, my judging partner over there, Ryan, this is the first time I've gotten to meet him, but I've looked up to him for a long time and his stockmanship ability. And then finally here, the GOAT Show has been awesome. I was a little perplexed as to if I was going to say anything on the microphone. I'm really not that big of a grand drive speech guy myself. Without going too much into detail, I know a lot of us, it's been quite the week for us. Here's what I can say. I woke up this morning incredibly grateful because I wasn't necessarily born into this industry, but I was more adopted by it. I think in times of just life and loss, what I reflect on is the element of togetherness. And I really appreciate, I know there's people standing behind me, to the sides of me, that I have called upon in times of trouble, in times of issue, and you guys every single time have shown up for me when it mattered the most. It's been an incredibly tough week, but I know that where our hope and our salvation lies surprised that we will see our friends again. And so, with that being said, that's all I'm going to have to say about that. The GOAT Show was absolutely wicked. If you guys don't mind, put your hands together for these exhibitors. We're about to nail a top 3 that I think are incredibly, incredibly good.
Take just a little break to get pictures there on the goat side. I think there's some shuffle back and forth between goats and sheep, so we'll make sure all that works out, and then we'll try to start our goat showmanship here at 2:15. We'll go 5th grade and under, and then 6th through 8th grade, and then freshmen up. 3 classes, $10 at the gate, winner take all. Again, we'll start goat showmanship at 2:15. First class will be 5th grade and under. Second class will be 6th grade through 8th grade. And then the third class will be high school up. $10 at the gate, winner take all.
apologize for taking a little bit longer, but again, it's like we got 4 out here, extremely good ones. Just different shapes and different, degrees of maturity, which makes it hard. And honestly, you gotta weed through what is skeletal and what is just behavioral at this point, because I'm guessing a lot of this is sheep that are out for the first time. So you guys can see where I land right here. I think Young Man's brought us one that I think is a true athlete. When we ask this one to go, the amount of presence that he has, the amount of just look he offers when he's stopped and parked. There's times when he wants to come too far forward and kind of chunk his front end down a little bit. I don't know if you just grab the scruff of his chin, grab him up, and make him go up again. But that one, to me, best combines bulk, width, dimension, terminal merit with the most presence in this class, and that's why he wins. His skeletal build is very good. You can see that in the way it allows him to move around the ring with some collectedness. The one coming in 2 is a challenge. There is things about this one park that are very good. When we talk about just like terminal merit and just talking about width and dimension, man, this guy, he's probably your guy. This one here is big muscles, big shapes, very three-dimensional. My challenge on him is he gets a bit shorter hipped. When we ask him to go, he gets a little bit just tighter and more restricted off both ends of his skeleton. I think most of it comes from his front limb assembly more than anything. And I think the biggest things on this one is we've got to make this one look a notch tighter about his chest. We got to make him look a notch more unique in terms of his neck length and his head. And I'd like this one to give me a square shot when I look at his front end. He wants to, although this one has some chest width and plants his feet fairly wide at the ground, he gets a little bit X-kneed on me, like his knees come together when we study his front end. Change that about him, chisel him up, make him a notch prettier up front, and I think we'd have a game changer. The one in 3 is challenging. This one is like terminal, creasy, shapely, big bulges on that one's skeleton. I love the way that this one wraps his hip with very three-dimensional shape, and I love the turn he has working down his back. The challenge on this guy is he just gets a notch coarser about his shoulder. He gets tighter about both ends of his skeleton, gets it a little bit shorter necked, and I think when we ask him to go, it just gets tighter and more restricted, and it manifests itself in his top line spine and his neck attachment. Really nice one, really shapely one there. And 3, a wider featured one in 4 that I think is awfully good, and I can tie into this one's underline all day long. He's got the right kind of dimension and wedgie shape from the side. This one truly, to me, young lady, needs to have more of him. He needs to have more convex shape working right in his foreflank there, right behind his elbow. He needs to be wider on the backside of his skeleton and wrap more muscle shape on there. And I think also on this guy, like some of the ones that precede him, he gets too upright in his blade, drags his toe around the ring. But again, very tough class, 4 high-quality ones. Again, show these kids your appreciation for their hard work.
Goat Showmanship 215 had a clarification question. Showmanship does not go towards the popper points. Cash at the ring. Winner take all.
really challenging on the top side of this class, and really give and take all the way through. I think the one we're going to land on, the young lady here that brought us one that is extremely tall-shouldered, extremely wide and genuine. When we study him in terms of his base width at the ground, maintaining that width to the top side of his skeleton, and really having a collected look when we ask that one to move around the ring. I'll be the first one to tell you, is he the shallowest chested one in the world? Is he the shortest bladed? No. If we change that about that one, I think he smokes it easily. But that one's very, very good at doing so many things right in terms of skeletal quality, build, having some width and dimension, and wrapping some muscle on it. The 1 and 2, young lady does an awesome job getting this one stuck. I would say when this one's parked, it makes you wonder if this one ought to be your class winner, because this one's underline fits this guy to a greater degree. I like this one's progression of body depth. I like the turn he has to his cage. The challenge on this one is when we ask him to move, he just wants to roll up on both ends of his skeleton, gets a notch coarser about his blade through his breast and chest, and really doesn't work as much genuine shape really down his back, and especially through his loin, as maybe that one that precedes him. Real white featured one coming in 3. Love the things about this one. The look that he offers from the side is very, very unique. And granted, his feature kind of helps him at that too. Big old paws on him. The challenge on this one, buddy, he's just got to have more just muscle shape popping out of his back and through his rump. Gets him a bit nondescript. And he's also one that when we ask him to go, he wants to curl up his spine a bit more than I'd like. The one coming next in class, really like this one's hip and hind leg, and the way it gives this weather the ability to have the right kind of flare and shape to his stifle and his rump. The challenge on this one, though, is when we ask him to move, he gets a notch too upright up front. It plays out in his spine and his neck set. Just need this one to actually reach with more off his front end and be a notch shallower up front. Young man's brought us a ULAM next. Creasy back, chiseled up. Young man does an awesome job getting her put together. The biggest thing for me is she gets a notch rounder off both ends of her skeleton, a notch harsher flanked. The pieces just don't all quite fit together the way we want. But again, a really, really high quality class. Why don't we congratulate these kiddos?
Goat showmanship. Come check in with Miss Dana on the other end of the goat ring. Last call for goat showmanship, guys.
Well, we've got honestly bits and pieces in all of these. We've got two here to start this class. I think so many similarities in these guys, really from their feature to their attributes. Honestly, I took a little longer just because there is so many similarities between these two. We're opting to use the young lady in the blacks, whether that offers a touch more height at his shoulder, a notch more presence and extension up front. And still maintains the right kind of skeletal quality when we ask him to go, and more than enough terminal merit in the shapes and three-dimensional bulges that he has popping off that skeleton. Would I like to soften this one up in his flank? Yes, I think that's maybe where we get critical of him, but in terms of just presence up front, head carriage, neck attachment, coupling that with some three-dimensional muscle shape and terminal merit, that one's very, very nice. The wider featured one, it comes in two, and I like many things about this one, and I think this one's scary close to having that advantage in terms of underline integrity that we were searching for in our class winner. The challenge on this one, buddy, is he wants to just drop his neck ever so slightly, get a notch too much between his front legs, and kind of manifest itself in his spine coming up as he moves around the ring. If we can make that one have the same kind of front end as that class winner, this one is scary good. Scary, scary good. Awfully wild one coming next. This one is tall-shouldered. Young man does an awesome job propping this one up. He is skinny, guys, but he is chiseled, big muscled. The biggest thing on this guy is we need this all to fit together, really just in a blend together in a notch better way. We need him to actually get out and operate his front limb with more reach. It'll allow his head to come, or his head and his neck to come up when we move up front, and really need to just smooth out all those shapes kind of in his hip and maybe tame that down a little bit. And I think that's one that I can latch onto a good bit more. Really skinny one coming next. Young man's doing an awesome job showing this one. Skinny but creasy is what we'll call this one. Like that this one's got a bendy hind leg. It might be a notch too bendy, in my opinion. If we could shorten up his shank and maybe make it a notch more aesthetically pleasing from the side, give him a shot more through his rump, through his thigh and stifle, I think he can move up the line a little bit more. Really white featured, really good looking one coming next with giant paws. Young lady, this one just needs to be a notch more relaxed and more flexible off both ends of his skeleton. It needs to have a shot more punch to go along with it, but big paws, big feature, like that one good bit for those reasons. Again, these kids have done great all day. Why don't we show them our appreciation with a round of applause?
We get started here on the goat showmanship side of things. We have Miss Gracie and Miss Emma, and they're both doing a great job coming out here and exhibiting their projects. I thought it was really close between them. I thought there was one young lady that was probably just a little better in the way that we held our head and where our feet went underneath of us. I thought Miss Gracie here is going to be our champion in our junior showmanship. Miss Emma right here is going to be our reserve. Way to go, guys. Job well done.
Logan Bauer, your class is in the ring currently.
I'll tell you what, we'll work through our intermediates here. I think probably as tough of a decision as what we have had all day. I say this any chance that I get to judge showmanship. It's tough because it's arguably more subjective than judging the livestock themselves. I thought along with elite animals, what we had today was elite showmanship, and so it's really tough to break the tie. Real quickly, I'll run through before we select a grand and reserve. Young lady up front, as intense as what we had through the ring, I would caution you this or time or two where maybe your front foot will sneak just a little far forward on that doe, but outside of that, I thought we did really nice. The young lady right here in second, I thought was incredibly polished. I thought incredibly smooth in the way that we operated. There's some times where that goat will maybe just sidestep and shuffle, not really want to know what to do with their head in motion. I thought outside of that on the standstill, you're a front runner in this particular lineup of them. Young lady here in the kind of purple colored shirt, I thought really as we work on down the line, there's just very small things. That goat will kind of overbrace and overdrive from time to time, so he'll get softer in his back line, and we push his head pretty far back there. That'll cause his chest line to poke out just a shot. The young lady right here that's next in line, I thought from just a consistency standpoint, probably as good as just hitting our points as anybody. I think there are some times maybe, especially on the handle, we could get that goat's head just a little back, make him handle just a nickel ranker. Young lady here that won a class in the middleweights. Nice job. Sometimes it's tough to keep that goat put together in terms of his spine and his hip. I think we got our back feet just a little far back there from time to time. Young lady right here, what is impressive to me, you're showing the youngest goat out here, and still you got her in motion extremely well. Your attention to detail was really impressive to me. The young man here holding it, the fort down for the men division. Hey, I thought you did a great job, buddy. There's some times where maybe our front feet will sneak just a little far forward and that goat will sidestep us just a shot. So I think really tough as we work on down the line. I'm going to pick two out of here that I think did an extremely good job. If you guys don't mind, put your hands together. Young lady in the blue striped shirt is your champion intermediate showman. This young lady right here is going to be your reserve. Congratulations to them.
Over here on the sheep side, we've got a whale of a class again, and we're talking like 5 deep in here, and we land with the young lady here in the floral shirt. That one to me, I think, has to win. When we really, I think it gets close between first and second, but I think that one has so much advantage in terms of extra height at his shoulder, just genuine width and bulk. When we study him maybe at a front 3/4 view, just the span he has between his elbows and really the turn and curvature he has working right out of his rib cage, right behind his blade. That one is extremely, extremely good there. He looks like a winner, especially propped up. That one, he looks like a show sheep ought to look, and has muscle and bulk in all the right places. I wish this one would get out and move without just kind of shuffling and being all nervous like, but I think there's still so much good in that one. I think that one has to win. Young man in the blue shirts brought us one that he makes it close. This one truly makes it close, and it's the young man's ability to show this one and put him together. I think that really surfaces. My challenges on this guy is so many similar pieces as our class winner, but this one wants to invert in his hip just a little bit, where his tail comes higher than his hooks. He wants to get a notch deeper right between his forearms there. And I think this is one, when I study him, he's not truly as dimensional and just reads with as much genuine width and dimension and shape as that class winner, but that's been awfully critical, and one that propped up, buddy, he looks awfully, awfully good. Same goes for the 1 and 3. Young man gets that one stuck. You could take a nice picture with that one. I'd be proud to stand behind him. The biggest things on this one, buddy, he gets a notch longer bladed. He gets a notch deeper up front. And this one gets a notch more upright in his back limb assembly. Consequently, when we ask him to move, he wants to roll up, drop his neck in him, drop his head forward, and push his spine up, and need a shot more gas in that one's tank to compete with those two that precede him in terms of just width and dimension and muscle and burliness. Same goes for the one coming next. Like the added foot and feature on this one. This one has been a challenge, I can tell, buddy. He wants to show at times, and sometimes he wants to fight you like mad. But I think that the biggest thing is when we ask this one to move around, I think we can see maybe although he's got those big giant paws and good white wool working on them, his spine is almost too flexible. Nearly when we ask him to walk around, he wants to drop his hooks there, the backside of his loin, get inverted his hip a bit more, and really just gets flatter when we study him in all his indicators. The darker featured one coming next is one that definitely does not get flat in its indicators. That one's got big shapes, big creases, big dimples. The biggest thing on this one, buddy, I get why you got to show them with the halter. Sometimes ones that aren't that smart and have some skeletal baggage will want. That's the way we can get them to show. This one, you prop up and make him look like $1 million. When we ask him to go, he kind of wants to drop his neck down in him, put his head forward, get upright in his blade, and really tuck his back end underneath him as well. But creasy, tall-shouldered, young man, you do an awesome job presenting him. Again, in the sheep ring, these kids have been working hard. Give them a round of applause for their effort.
Last installment of the day here in our senior showmanship contest. I thought we had 5 young people that are all elite at their craft. Just going back through in terms of the high points again, showmanship is tough and tricky, but it's good because it shows the time and energy that these young people put into their stock. Young lady up front doing a whale of a good job. I'll be honest, probably in terms of a consistency standpoint, both out here and as you showed earlier, I thought you got as much mileage out of your goats and did an incredible job of maybe showing some flaws and some issues out of them. I think the young lady right here in motion is as good as anything in terms of utilizing all the ring. I thought there were some times where maybe our front feet get just a little askew. Young man here with the black-headed goat, thought seasoned pro. There's some times where that goat maybe gets just a little spread out from the side, get him bunched back underneath of him. I thought on the standstill, young lady, dynamite. I thought in motion we could move that goat at just a quicker clip, just a shot. And then the young lady here with the big doe on the end, I thought exceptionally good job. We can probably bounce her out just a shade, but past that, really good. Young lady up front is our champion senior showman today. Young lady here in the yellow is going to be our reserve. Best of luck to everybody selling their stock tonight. I'm excited to come back up and look through them later this evening.